In this video I'll be showing you how you can use Geo-Pro to construct a three-dimensional polyhedron. In the manual on page 47 there are a whole lot of formulas and instructions for polyhedra. The one I'm going to do today is the truncated octahedron. It has a formula S6H8, which means 6 squares and 8 hexagons are required. So I need some card. I use 180 GSM card. You can use scraps of card. They don't have to be A4 pages, just whatever you've got around. And if I start drawing from shape 53 on Geo-Pro, and I press firmly because I've got to score lines for folding tabs. Now I space the shapes about 1 centimetre apart, so when you draw the next one, just make sure it's about 1 centimetre from the nearest point on the last shape, and keep drawing. Now that I've finished drawing the hexagons, I need to draw the other shape, the square, 6 of those. I'm just using a scrap of card that I had, and I'm going to draw the 6 squares, again pressing firmly and spacing by about 1 centimetre. Now I'm ready to start cutting out the shapes. If I start with the squares, you can see why I left a centimetre gap, so that when I cut down between the shapes, I've got a 5mm margin from the drawn shape. And I just trim the squares like so. Same with the hexagons. I cut down between them, so I've got about a 5mm border of space from where I've drawn. I just roughly cut them into sections like this. Now that I've cut out the hexagons, I need to trim a 5mm margin around the side of each shape. It doesn't have to be exact, but something like that. I'll keep doing that on the hexagons. I don't have to do it on the squares because they've already got a nice 5mm margin all the way around. Now I need to start forming the tabs around each shape. I start with a square. You can often just do one cut across the corner like that and work your way around the shape, forming the tabs. Just skim the corners, we don't want to go into the shape. So I'll do the squares like that. And the hexagons, again, I could probably just cut straight across there, or in and out a little bit if you need to, until I've gone all the way around the perimeter, like so. Now that I've cut the tab shapes, I need to actually fold the tabs up, and that's why I scored the lines. I can then use my thumb, apply a little bit of pressure, and fold the tabs so that they'll be on the inside of the model. So I fold them in this direction. The same with the hexagons. I fold the tabs down towards the marked ink lines, and the scoring should mean that they fold fairly well. If you have thicker cardboard, you might need to use the edge of a pen or something like that to press down and create a sharp edge. So I'll continue folding the tabs down. Now that I've got my tabs folded up, I'm ready to start constructing the model. Notice that there's a square around every second edge of the hexagon. I can follow that pattern. You can refer to page 47 in the Geo-Pro manual for sketches of what the completed models look like, and follow those patterns as well. Okay, now I use an Acrid Here quick set glue, and I put a small daub on a pad of paper or a bit of scrap card, and I use a bamboo skewer that's had its point cut off, and use that to apply glue to one edge of one of the shapes. Just spread a very thin smear there and hold the shapes together. I use my thumb to ensure that they're at the same level, and you can turn it over and pinch the tabs together to ensure they're firmly connected. Now I'll continue to do that around every second edge of the first hexagon. You can see I've put a square around each or every second edge of the first hexagon now. Next stage, and the corner pattern, remember, was SHH, so I need a second hexagon at each corner like that. So I'll start to glue those into position. Now I've completed putting all the shapes around the outside of the first hexagon, and that will be the completed shape pattern at a vertex like that. So I need to join in between here. So I get a bit of glue, and again a thin smear. It's a bit too much, but I can take some off and hold it together probably for 5 to 10 seconds until things are secure. Now you might be tempted to do this side here, but that's an opposing tension on the shape. It's better just to leave one pair of edges in one area gluing together and move on to another section and move around this way. So I'll go around and do this one, then this one, then I'll come back and this one should be dry and I can have a go in here. You can see I've still got gaps in here to complete. Now I've sealed those gaps and I've got to this stage. Next I'll start putting hexagons in here, and I'll work my way around and eventually get pretty close to completing the model. You can see I've nearly completed the model, but I'm down to the last 2 edges, and we do those together because it's hard to get at one edge only. So I just put some glue on each edge, and you can put a bit of tension on the shape to make the tabs more accessible. Then just gently push that into position from both sides, not too hard. Whoops. I'll pull it back out a bit. That's better. And hold that to complete the model. So there's our completed truncated octahedron.